In the early hours of a cold morning, the sky over Moscow was filled with a barrage of Ukrainian drones. Sirens sounded throughout the Russian capital. Residents filmed explosions, thick smoke, and a Russian response that seemed more like an emergency reaction than a coordinated defense. The air defense missile even missed its target and hit an oil storage tank on the outskirts of the city, creating a mushroom-shaped cloud. In another scene, soldiers were firing portable air defense systems from the middle of a busy highway with cars passing by. The Ukrainian attack hit the Moscow oil refinery in Kaputinia, about 15 kilometers from the Kremlin. It was the largest drone attack against the Russian capital since the start of the full-scale war, and the largest attack of all time in modern warfare. And we've reported all the facts here on the channel. The war that has dragged on since 2022 has imposed heavy costs, much more on Russia than on any other country. Iran, involved in supplying equipment, has faced significant economic losses due to sanctions and international pressure. Other allies, such as China, have also come under increased scrutiny. However, the United States, after the shift to a new administration under Donald Trump, faced political strain. Because it was unable to make a high number of contacts, the country, which had frequent contact with other allies, was monitored for 24 hours. On the battlefield, Ukraine steadily improved its long-range attack capabilities. Since 2024, Kyiv has intensified strikes against Russian oil refineries and military facilities. Ukrainian drones had already reached St. Petersburg and Moscow repeatedly, bringing the war to Russia's two largest cities. What changed in June was the scale and precision of the attacks. Ukraine launched a massive swarm of fixed-wing drones. Russian sources claim to have shot down hundreds, but several units reached the target and caused real damage at the Kaputinia refinery. Black smoke rose for kilometers, and on the morning of June 18, the rain in Moscow fell dark, staining cars and clothes. The Ukrainian strategy is based on volume and persistence. Cheap, mass-produced drones are launched in large numbers to saturate defense systems. Radar can detect the object, but turning that detection into effective engagement requires a quality track. That's more difficult with small, slow, and numerous targets. When drones come from multiple directions at the same time, the integrated coordination of Russian air defense faces difficulties. Ukraine also directly attacked enemy air defense elements. According to the commander of the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces, Robert Providi, Kyiv managed to destroy at least 166 previous elements, Russian anti-aircraft systems, just this year, and more than 1,432 since the large-scale invasion in 2022. Each Panther-Z system, or its radar, that is eliminated opens up many gaps. But the attack was very well planned. In mid-May, for example, Moscow still had more than 100 air defense launchers and more than 50 mobile Panther-Z systems, according to the Ukrainian assessment. Even so, the June 18th attack managed to penetrate. Drones are not manned aircraft, nor conventional cruise missiles, and they don't cost millions and millions of dollars. Russian systems, like Panther-Z and other network components, were mainly designed for those higher altitude, speed, and signature threats, and they cost millions of dollars. If you want access to full analyses with exclusive content, like videos, charts, and live streams that aren't made public here, become a channel member for just RR7 per month. Low-cost drones fly very low, slowly, and in dense formations, exploiting gaps in detection and reaction time. On a busy highway, soldiers were firing man-pads, which are portable shoulder-launched air defense systems, launching the devices with cars and civilians passing by. The most revealing was the Russian missile that missed the drone and hit an oil tank. These successful Ukrainian attacks point to the low reliability of older systems in stressful situations. Russian air defenses are simply not adequate for this type of attack. Russia faced practical dilemmas. Concentrating defenses in Moscow requires removing systems from other regions, including from the front line. Maintaining stockpiles and interceptor missiles is expensive and difficult under full sanctions. Reports indicate that some units of Panther systems are operating with incomplete loads. The Russian response with man-pad systems in dense urban areas exposes limitations in training and planning for swarm scenarios. Russian analysts acknowledge damage, despite claims of a high interception rate. This pattern repeats itself. Ukraine has been improving its drones for years with greater range, more interference-resistant navigation, and the ability to fly routes that avoid known defense corridors. Previous attacks served in part to map Russian positions. With this data, the following drones can be programmed to bypass areas of higher concentration. The result is truly a capital protected by multiple layers upon layers of air defense, including anti-nuclear systems. Notably, conventional systems such as Panthers, Thor, and others suffered direct hits. The Kaputinia refinery is a strategic facility. Repeated damage affects the production of Russian fuels and lubricants. Each fire requires resources for control and repair. Most importantly, the attack shows that the Russian rear is not immune. When drones hit targets close to the center of political power, the psychological and domestic effect only grows. Residents of Moscow saw the war literally arrive at their doorstep. Analysts note that Russia's options are limited. Increasing the production of interceptor missiles runs into sanctions and industrial capacity. Redesigning entire systems and dealing with swarms and cheap drones would take time and resources that aren't immediately available. Pulling more defenses from the front to protect cities like Moscow weakens offensive operations. Leaving areas unprotected exposes critical facilities to new attacks. The frequency and depth of Ukrainian strikes amplify these dilemmas. To get full access to this video, follow the link in the description to become an exclusive channel member, and for just 7 Rs, you can become an exclusive channel member. For only 7 Rs and 99 centavos per month, you already have access to all resources and full videos. Just click the Become a Member button and leave your opinion in the comments below about what might happen in the next few days. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any content.